Test it. All right, guys, girls. Does anybody have an idea what we might be talking about today? What? Pretty good guess. All right. We talked about this last week and the week before. Dr. Larry, gentleman over here in the Dinosaur shirt, pretty cool. I haven't ever seen that one. I'm going to try to find that. He's going to come up here and explain his presentation and enlighten us about the dinosaurs and maybe change the way we think about it a little bit. If y'all don't mind, give a big round of applause to Dr. Larry.
Good to go?
Yes, sir. You'll have to talk to the microphone.
Oh, really?
That's okay.
This is new? Okay. I'm not used to these high-tech devices. How are you guys doing? Good? Does anybody here like dinosaurs? What's not to like, right? What's this guy? T-Rex. T-Rex, very good. Okay, we're going to talk about dinosaurs in the Bible tonight. I'm Dr. Larry Mitchum. This is our church right here. We are from the, we call it the filling station. Get my clicker to behave here. Running 2 slides at a time again. There we go. There's the nighttime shot. There's the daytime shot. It's old service station, and we have Bible study there every Sunday morning, and we have a lot of exhibits there, bigger and better than these. And that is the Creation Evidence Museum. How many have been there? Quite a few of you. Quite a few. I used to have an office there, and been on many, many digs with Dr. Ball, and I've been all over the world looking at stuff. There's some more museum slides. They have a dig coming up this summer. Would any of you guys like to participate in that? A few. It's in Glen Rose, and I'll try to send your people the contact information in case y'all want to get a group up and go there. And it's a lot of fun. That's a local magazine. They came in and took some pictures of our place a while back. Come on in, come on in. A lot of seats. A lot of seats. And let's see. It has brought us all the way up to our T-Rex here. That one is 15 and a half feet long. We're printing a velociraptor right now. Y'all know what a velociraptor is? That was in Jurassic Park. And actually they used a Utah raptor for the film. And that's actually what we're printing because they're a whole lot bigger than velociraptors. Velociraptors are only about the size of a German Shepherd. Back up. I may have to get Bob to advance the slides. The slide advance is going just way, way, way too fast here. Let's see. And then it doesn't. There are the 2 lenses we can look at fossil evidences from. And it's important to note that fossils do not come with a little tag on it saying made in 2100 BC or whatever, 1 million years ago or 4,000 years ago. And it also doesn't tell you anything about the species. We have to figure all that stuff out. And we look through these same evidences through different lenses. And there's a biblical view, and there is a secular view, or a world view, I might say. And part of getting grounded in God's Word is important to look at science for what it is and look at the truth in the matter and see exactly what the fossil evidence is telling us. A lot of people are confused about the fact that the word dinosaur isn't in the Bible. Well, there's some reasons for that. The King James Bible, written in the 1600s, written a couple of hundred years before they invented the word dinosaur. Sir Richard Owen coined that expression. It means terrible lizard or powerful lizard. And that didn't happen until about 1840 sometime. And there's a couple other words that are not in the Bible that we know are real too. You know, the word rapture is not in the Bible. And the word Trinity is not in the Bible. In fact, the word Bible is not in the Bible. So the fact that dinosaurs not in the Bible doesn't really mean anything, doesn't mean that there weren't dinosaurs. The word cell phone isn't in the Bible. The word apple is in the Bible, but it's not talking about a cell phone. Different story. The first dinosaurs ever found were found in the early to mid 1800s. And they didn't really have any idea what they looked like. In fact, they took a long time before they were what they call articulated one. That's put all the bones back together in the right places and added all the fleshy features that make you see and understand what he looked like. And one of the reasons dinosaur wasn't in the Bible is I think they called them dragons back then. And perhaps dragons were what people called creatures that we would call dinosaurs today. How many believe there were dragons in the earth? Well, very good. Did you know the Bible mentions dragons 35 times? And if they are a misnomer, if they're a myth, then there's an awful lot of mythology floating around in the scripture. I don't think that's true. At any rate, yeah, dragons did exist. And there's one very cool one that was discovered only in about 1995. And it was called a Dracorex hogwartsia. They named it Dracorex hogwartsia after there's a skeleton of it, after the Hogwarts castle, and there's a fleshed out picture of it. I've got one up here someplace. Here we go. Where's Joey? James is here. James, would you come up and pass it, don't pass it around, but hold this up so people can see it. We've got one here that's 3D printed, a model, and all the artwork's been done on it. But look at this guy. Yeah, if you saw that, would you think that was a dragon? Yes, and that's exactly what people saw. This animal right here really existed. This is not make-believe. And the good news is these were not carnivorous. Those were herbivores. They ate grass. And there's quite a few other animals that probably look like dragons, that people call dragons, that were just different varieties of dinosaur. They were created on day 6, along with man. And after the fall, they became carnivorous. In the original guise, dinosaurs were just like all the other creatures. They ate plants, including the T-Rex. And there's a lot of research and study that's been going on in that area. And I've got some exhibits to show you of some pictures of dinosaurs that were made by people long before the time of Christ that show the animals eating grass, which the scripture seems to agree with. What happened to the dinosaurs? If you listen to the I should say secular narrative, it is claimed an asteroid hit the earth. And I want to ask you to put your thinking caps on for a second. I'm going to show you some slides here. If an asteroid hit the earth and destroyed the dinosaurs, what do you think would have happened to all of the other animals? In other words, it destroyed the dinosaurs, but it did destroy the ducks. It destroyed the dinosaurs, but not the feral hogs. How many have feral hogs? Bless your heart. They're fun, aren't they? They're a real nuisance. It didn't destroy the other animals as well, not the beavers. It didn't destroy the canaries. And that's key because the canaries are probably the most sensitive creatures on the planet. In fact, they're very, very sensitive to toxic gases that would have happened if something like an asteroid hit the planet. And yet we have canaries all over the place today, don't we? Sweet little things. The other side of the story is not just did they not die out of asteroid impact and covered with iridic ash, they seem to be found in mud almost all the time. In fact, the mud shows up pretty much everywhere. There's a mud bank that's just filled with dinosaur skeletons. And there's a wall in China that's solid mud, and it's totally covered with dinosaurs. I think there was a flood myself that made the mud, right? And all of the dinosaurs we find, including this big femur here, that's me in the hat on the right. That's our dig site in Colorado, by the way. And I have that femur and the tibia and the fibula. That's all three of these bones right here, 1, 2, 3. And the foot bones stacked up on top of each other in our little church. Would y'all like one of those in your church? Yeah, I think so. We need to talk to the deacon body about that. We need to get some dinosaur legs here. It's almost 16 feet tall. Now that's where his hip was. And his neck was 40 feet long. Yeah, so you can imagine how big this creature was. And in the book of Job, God talks about a creature that is made in the ways of God and has a huge tail and is an enormous animal. And I think that's the animal he's talking about. Well, anyway, in that dig right there, if you look behind the Philip and myself there, and there's, of course, Joe Taylor, myself, and that's Beverly on the right. She's the landowner. She owns the ranch where we found these dinosaurs. 35,000-acre ranch, pretty big ranch, huh? Anyway, that wall that's behind us, I brought a piece of it here for y'all to see tonight. That is mud. And here's a chunk of it here. I won't pass it around, but I'll let you reach out and touch it if you want to. It is hard rock. Hard rock. And it's heavy, very heavy. Now this was at one time liquid. And there are bones in here. You see the little black things? Those are dinosaur bones. And when they get broken up like this, they're not really good for anybody to do anything with. So we that are on the dig team get to take little stuff like this home sometimes. And that's kind of interesting. There was a bag of bentonite clay up here. Do we have that? Okay. There's some loose pieces of it here. This is bentonite clay. Now, this is a fancy word for mud. Just know that. And this is what we find dinosaur bones in. And you can take this stuff and grind it up into a little powder, mix a little water with it, and it turns back into mud again. And you can mold it, and when it rehardens, it's just like concrete. So it makes an excellent packing material. And here's a piece of it that's got the shape of a bone in it. Amazing, huh? Pretty cool. They let us keep these too. And you see there was a crack in it. And in the crack, that's mud, by the way, in the crack, crystals have grown. Interesting, huh? Tells you it's been there for quite a while. Anyway, that's the long and the short on where dinosaurs are found in the mud pretty much everywhere. That is a dinosaur monument in Utah. And if you look on that wall, there's about 1,000 dinosaurs in that one wall. And they're all mixed up. And they're all in mud. And what do you think caused all that mud? The flood, yes. The flood made the mud. And they're all over the planet. There's a big T-Rex, and that one they named after Sue Hendrickson. She's the gal that found it. It was, at a time, the biggest T-Rex in the world. It was 38 feet long. Very shortly after, they found a bigger one up in Canada named Scotty, and it was like 2 feet longer. And it was 40 feet. That's big. That's like from that back wall of the church there, all the way up probably all the way up to my hat right here. 40 feet. That's a huge animal. And he has a head like this, and that head on that particular animal was 9 feet long. Big, huh? Not something you want to find in your backyard. Well, anyway, soon after this animal died, scientists believe that this animal was caught in mud. Interesting. And they said there was perhaps a local flood that made the mud. I think there was a big flood that made the mud. That would be the flood of Noah. Y'all remember Noah and Noah's Ark? Yep. That's what I think buried all the dinosaurs. Anyway, I may have to back up every time I want to advance a slide. It might be easier if I just had Bob advance them from the keyboard back there. When I hit the clicker, it runs 3 forward. So I'll just ask you to give me one when I point the laser at you or whatever. There's the flood about 4,500 years ago today. Yeah, move it up, Bob. The question on that slide kind of got ruined. That's the punchline. What do dinosaurs eat? What do T-Rexes eat? What's their favorite food? And the answer is, yeah, lawyers. Anyway, can you turn it back on? Let me try it again. I'll just stand back here. Still got nothing. All right, let's look at that one a second. There's a dinosaur with an arched spine. And if you'll notice, almost all dinosaurs have an arched spine, and they're in mud. And that particular pose is called the death arch. And there's a fancy name for it. It's called opistotonic. The opistotonic death pose. And if you'll notice, all of those dinosaurs in that picture have a highly arched neck section in their backbone. That is caused, boys and girls, by drowning. Death by drowning. Now, if all the dinosaurs we find are found in mud, I think because of the flood, and they all have an arched neck, which means they drowned when they died, I think all the dinosaurs perhaps died and drowned in the great flood of Noah, and not because of an asteroid. If an asteroid had done it, their necks would have been perfectly straight. Just like when a horse dies out in the field today, or a cow, or any other animal for that. They say, found a slide you like, that the reason that the dinosaurs have an arched neck is because there was a localized flood. And the localized flood seems to have been in Australia, in Sweden, in Spain, in France, in the United States, in Canada, in South America, in Africa, and everywhere. Everywhere we had a localized flood all at the same time. Interesting, huh? I think there's a better answer for that. I think it was one flood, and it was a big one, a great big one. And it just wiped everything out. And they got buried in all this mushy stuff that made the bentonite clay and the stuff that encapsulated all their bones. Okay, let me back up here. Now let's go back in time here. We're going to play a little game. Y'all good with that? Okay, good. Let's play like we are in the 1600s. You okay with that? Can you imagine that? No cell phones, no TV. What else? No cars. No a lot of stuff. But let's say I gave everybody a pencil and a piece of paper, and I asked you to draw me a dinosaur. Now, they hadn't invented the word dinosaur yet. But I asked you to draw me a dinosaur. You see those pictures up there? I think that's what I'd get. Think about it a minute. What would you draw if you had no idea what a dinosaur looked like and asked you to draw one? Now, according to the evolutionary theory, that is the long age theory, there were people on the earth during the time way after all of the dinosaurs had died. They believe the dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago. And they believe that humans of any intelligence at all arrived something like 250,000 years ago. So there's like 64.8 million years of time between the dinosaurs and the first humans. So no one could have ever seen one, right? Big time gap between them. However, what if you saw a picture like this? What if one of the kids in the room drew that when I said, draw me a dinosaur? That's a dinosaur, all right. You got it. It is. It looks just like the one in the cartoon. Y'all remember this one? The Flintstones? Some of you do. Did y'all see some of the very first Flintstone shows? Yeah, with Barney Rubble. Yeah, you did. Sure you did. I did too, back when I was about 9. That was a while ago. Well, anyway, look at this, guys. You see that arch? That's the arches in Utah. That's a national monument, national park. And on the back down there, that's inside of that arch. There's a big altar there where they did pagan sacrifices in front. On the back there, there's a picture somebody drew with a rock, and they engraved it in the stone. And if you look closely, you can see there's a picture of a dinosaur on that rock. Can you see it? I heard a lot of people say, I can see it. I can see it. Now, I've got an oval drawn around it now. Let me try going forward one time. There's Dr. Don Patton, good friend of mine. He owns ChristianAnswers.com. That's his website. Those were Anasazi Indians. And they existed something like 350 BC up to the latest, very, very latest, around 1100 AD. So they weren't around any time that the first dinosaurs were dug up. And no one, according to them, was supposed to have ever seen one. But these guys drew those images, which are just, in my opinion, spectacular. They're almost like they came out of a comic book. Perfect. Showing a long neck sauropod, what we call a brontosaurus or something like that. Pretty much that image right there. Anyway, there's that almost same image on a rock. Now, guys, look at that image on the screen there. Can you see that logo down there in the corner? That's the Trinity Broadcast Network logo. That rock was on television. And it has a picture of a dinosaur on it. And it was carved about 300 BC by the Ica Plains natives in Ica, Peru. Now, here's something I'm going to treat you with tonight. I've got that rock with me. It's been on television 5 times, and you guys are going to get to see it. Let me see if I can get it out of the box here. Hold my microphone and the rock at the same time. Can y'all see that? That is a perfect image of a long-necked dinosaur, if I've ever seen one. Now, if you look closely, there's a man on the back.
Wait, I can't see it.
Look at the image on the screen. You can see it there as well.
No.
There's a man on the back riding a pteranodon. Y'all know what a pteranodon is?
Yes, it's kind of like an aerodactyl.
Kind of like a what?
Aerodactyl.
Yes. You know what the difference is?
But it has a long beak and it has claws.
A pterodactyl has teeth, right? And a pteranodon does not have teeth. In fact, the name tells you, ptero,
And they don't have wings.
P-T-E-R-O, means winged or winged creature. And a don, what does don mean? No teeth, exactly. Don means teeth, like endodontist, like orthodontist. any kind of odontist is somebody that does something with teeth. And anytime you add the word a in front of a word, it means without or not. So pteranodon is a winged creature without teeth. So if you see a skeleton of a pteranodon, and we have one I brought here tonight. You see it? I bet you could pick it out if I let you come up here. I'll hold it up for you, though. This is a baby pteranodon. James, why don't you come up here and hold this? Assemble that the best you can. Hold it around so they can see it. That's a recent print. We have an articulate. Now, we have one of these, we have two of them hanging up. We have two of them hanging up in our little church. And one of them has a 26-foot wingspan, right? Would you all like to have one in your church? Yeah, well, talk to your pastor. I'm sure that's going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. We'll take up a collection next Sunday for a pteranodon hanging up in the middle of our church. Anyway, it's pretty cool. All right, but there's a picture of the guy on the rock here. You can come up look at it afterwards, and he's riding on the pteranodon. Now, these Ica stones are burial artifacts. I mean, they were in a grave. They're buried with somebody, and usually, when you bury somebody, you're not joking around. So seriously, that may be how this guy died. You know, they may have done something similar to what we do today. Down south here, we actually have a pastime where grown men will get on the top of wild animals and try to ride them around as long as they can until they get thrown off or bucked off or whatever. They did the same thing back then, only their idea of a wild animal was a little farther fetched. Anyhow, there's Ica, Peru. That's where they're found. And come on. There we go. There's some of the markings on the Ica Plains. Y'all may have seen these before. These are huge. Some people think they're runways and pictures of animals, but you can't see these things from the ground. You have to be up about 10,000 feet to see them. That's where the Ica stones were located, just about 70 miles from this site, which I think is fascinating. There's a satellite view of some of the new runways that they have discovered in that same place. Dr. Javier Cabrera, he has the largest collection of those stones. They found 35,000 of them today. Many people have said they were hoaxed, but if they are, somebody's hoaxing 24/7, making an awful lot of copies of it. There's another one, and that has who knows what that animal is? I think you're right. She said, I think it's a triceratops. And I heard her very plainly. That's exactly what that is. I think so too. But remember, that was drawn in 300 BC. How did he know what that looked like? Did he go down to the 7-Eleven and get a comic book and turn to the dinosaur page? No way. He had to have seen that animal. So I think, personally, dinosaurs and man coexisted even for a little period of time after the flood. Definitely before the flood and after the flood. Now there's another stone with a whole assortment. There's a stegosaurus, there's a iguanodon, there's a gallimimus up there, another triceratops, and there's one of the stones I found on eBay. What is that, $42,000 they want for it? Yeah, they're not cheap, and we're fortunate to have, this is a copy, by the way. This is not, Carl has the real thing in the museum up at Glenrose. When you go there, he's got 5 of them. So those are pretty cool. There's another one, and that is a pteranodon with a guy riding on the back of it. Pretty cool. Okay, I'm in a part of the world here where my clicker doesn't work. Hang on. There we go. There's a whole page full of them. Moving right along. There's the one I just showed you guys with the pteranodon and the man riding on him on his back. One more little section I have here, if I can get the show to keep going. Bone Wars here. Cope and Marsh were the two guys. That's the two men in the picture there. They were at odds with each other about who could find the biggest and baddest dinosaur back in the day, 1840s time frame. And they found Mr. Marsh. He found, get this will blow you away. Did we get the coprolite? Is it up here? Oh yeah, look, this is coprolite. Do you know what coprolite is? You think you know what coprolite is? Not for sure, but you think it might be?
I think it might be a crystallized tree, kind of.
A crystallized. You guys want to know what this is? This is poop. Do y'all know what poop is? Raise your hand if you know what poop is. See, we're learning here. We're learning. Now, I'll tell you what's cool. It's gorgeous. It's almost jewelry quality. It's like 8.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. They make jewelry out of this. And you can see this has been broken open. See the brown on the outside? That's what the original chunk looked like. But somebody broke it open with a hammer, and we have a guy on our dig team. That's all he does. He just collects this stuff. He's got a lot of poop. And you know what? A lady who was the pastor's wife at a church in Gerald gave me this one. You know? Wait a minute. This one's still soft. Just kidding. Just kidding. See, look. It's turned to rock. Yeah. You want to do that? No way. No way. Okay, now watch this, guys. What I'm trying to tell you is the flood fossilized everything. You see what they've been teaching you is all these fossils formed on top of the ground over millions and millions and millions of years with dust and dirt slowly accumulating on the surface, something like 0.2 of a centimeter per year, meaning it'd take like 20 years to get an inch of fill on top of it. How long does poop last? How many have dogs that go out in the front yard and leave stuff on the grass? How long does that stuff last? 15, 20 years? More like a couple of weeks, right? And then it's the first rain shower and it's gone. Well, how do you fossilize that and leave it in its perfect shape and still retain its identity? Unless it's covered quickly with a mud flow like this bentonite clay that can harden with the speed of concrete. And that's exactly what we had at the Great Flood of Noah. And look at this. Find my clicker. If I can advance this one more time. Come on. Here we go. There's a poo-seum. That is a museum that just has poo in it. You talk about educational learning here. This is at its finest. Look at the guy that owns that museum. He has the world's largest collection of dinosaur poop. And you remember, I told you what it's called. It's called coprolite. And you remember the two men I told you that were battling for who could find the biggest dinosaur? One of the guys' name was Marsh. The other guy's name was Cope. Marsh found the first fossilized dinosaur dung, and he named it after his contemporary. He named it after Cope, his buddy, right? I mean, what a nice thing to do. I mean, you want to stick your finger in someone's eye, there you go. That's got to be the finest example I've ever seen of human exhibit in the world. And what do y'all say? Oh, I didn't see what was up there. Do you know what that is? Guess what animal made that one? Hit me with it. No, it wasn't a velociraptor. What'd you say? Did you say T-Rex? It's a T-Rex. That is dung from a T-Rex. It's 12, get this, guys, it is 12 inches long. And you know what? He named it. It's his favorite specimen. You know what he calls it? Precious. I'm not making this up. This is true. This is real. All right, I just want to make sure you guys didn't miss anything on the presentation for last time. Anyway, I want you to know this. Let me give you the bottom line here. It's my sales pitch. All of this says that A, God created dinosaurs with man. Dinosaurs walked with man starting from day 6 when God said to Job, "Behold thee now, Behemoth, whom I created with thee." Behemoth is, I believe, what we used to call Brontosaurus. And we've since learned that animal is truly a Apatosaurus in reality. But still, the big long-necked dinosaur is the one he was talking about. And I believe there were dinosaurs on the Ark. If you ever get a chance to go to the Ark exhibit, how many have been there? Quite a few of you. Anyway, that's Ken Ham's museum. And he's been in my office, by the way, back when they were first starting their museum. Anyway, they have dinosaurs in cages on their Ark exhibit. They believe, as we do, that the dinosaurs were on the Ark, which means they would have been also seen after the flood. And the evidence seemed to point that as well. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is the words in the Bible are true. Don't give them up. Don't listen to science falsely so-called without checking it out for yourselves. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? We have a few. And let's see. Young girl right here has a pretty articulate voice. Why don't you tell me your question?
My question is, wait, are all these fossils real?
Are all these fossils real? Let me give you the short answer. No. Do you know why? Because this fossil, right, let me pick a good one. Here, it's a claw from a Spinosaurus. This is a molded copy I made off of one of the originals. This original claw sold for over $75,000. If this claw is $75,000, what do you think that skull would go for? It's not only a matter of money. Do you know if this were the genuine skull, do you know what this would weigh? The skull we took, the femur we took. Remember that picture I showed you of us on the dig site in Colorado? That femur that we were jacketing of that big dinosaur? It's 5 feet tall. That femur weighed 700 pounds in its field jacket. Now, we had to have an engine lift to pick it up and put it on a truck to get it out of there. But I can't bring that here. Also, they're very brittle. If you just pick it up wrong, when they pick some of the bones up of the fossil, yes, they just crumble, and you've ruined it. And if you ever go to a museum that's got a whole dinosaur assembled, I call it articulated, that's the word they use, I guarantee you, they are all copies. Why? You can't drill a hole in the end of the dinosaur bone and put a steel armature in there to hold it in place. If you did, you would ruin the bone. Now, there are very few examples, exceptions. Scotty's one that has a huge percentage of real bones in the exhibit, but you never find the whole animal. I mean, if you're lucky, you'll get 60%. So at least 40% of most display items are created, modeled, molded, and put into place. So if you're looking at a fossil in a museum on a good day, you might have 60, 50% real bones. Mostly cast urethane is what most of them are made of. We do have, and to answer your question a little further, yes, some of these are real. And those we handle very, very carefully because they're irreplaceable, basically. Next question. Young lady right here.
Are these all 3D printed?
Yes, some are. There's 2 or 3 ways to make a dinosaur bone. You see this guy right here? Y'all know what that is? That is a horn from a Busoni latiphone. And what we do is we borrow the genuine fossil from the museums and we mold it. We can copy anything. If you could sit still for 30 minutes, we can copy you. How many would like to have a copy of this young man right here? Some yes, some no. Somebody says pick someone else. But you know what I'm saying? We can mold literally anything as long as it has structure. And the ones that we don't mold, like this guy here, this is 3D printed. And this guy here, this is 3D printed. How many have a 3D printer? Quite a few of you. Well, you can download these files and print these yourself. How do you know? You can see the texture. What's your name, young lady? Say it again.
Kira.
Kira. Pretty sharp little girl. What's this? Nope. Nope. Not a claw. It's on the other end. Back there. Yes. Tail spike of a. What's the animal? Nope. Stegosaurus. Tail spike, Stegosaurus. Remember JP3, Jurassic Park 3? Okay, one or two more and we'll close down. Oh, let me show you something else. Check this out.
That's 3D printed.
Yeah, this is John Hammond's cane. Now, what's this on top of it? Amber. What's in the amber?
A mosquito.
That's a mosquito. And what were they trying to do?
Suck the blood.
They were trying to get blood out of the mosquito because they thought maybe the blood in the mosquito was a mosquito bit a dinosaur. Yeah. And then we're going to try to make a dinosaur, right? Guess what? We have discovered, you guys will love this. This was in the presentation we showed the older kids. All dinosaur bones, with a few exceptions, all dinosaur bones have soft tissue in them. And blood veins. And blood cells. And red blood cells. And ligaments. And tendons. Yes, yes. So A, you know, one, they're not 65 million years old. And two, you could take a sample from that red blood cell and get your DNA directly without having to go through the mosquito. So history has shown technology has moved so fast, we've made that unnecessary. Amazing. You guys are living in an exciting time. Well, that's probably pretty close to our timeline. Let's see. I didn't call anyone in the back row. Let me give that little girl there a chance, and we'll close it down. Last question, right here. Hang on a second. Let me get the microphone to you.
Are dinosaurs still alive today?
Are dinosaurs... You know, they think they've seen some in the Congo. And particularly, they think they've seen pteranodons. But that's all I got for you. I've not seen any in Rogers, okay? But as soon as I do, I'll let you know. How's that? Okay? You guys have been wonderful. Thank you all for having us.
Thanks, Doctor. All right, guys, that was awesome. Thank you, Dr. Larry. Thank you for everything. I guess if you have any more questions, if you want to hang around for like 3 more minutes to ask them real quick. If not, we're going to go down to the gym. We're going to follow our leaders. We're going to go down to the gym. But let's give one more clap for Dr. Larry and his team.